Selena hit the pavement so hard her elbow screamed, but she didn't stop. Not when the first bullet tore through the café's awning above her head. Not when glass exploded across the sidewalk. Not when the Korean man she'd grabbed stumbled beside her with a sharp curse. "Move!" she shouted, shoving him behind a concrete column just as another round punched into it with a vicious crack. He pressed his back to the pillar, breathing hard. "Who the hell are you?" "Not important," she snapped. "Stay down." A third shot rang out, closer, sharper, angling from the rooftop across the street. Selena glimpsed the glint of a scope second shooter. "Great. Fantastic." The man's voice dropped, low and controlled. "They're triangulating." "Yeah," she said, peeking around the column. "And they're not missing next time." He grabbed her wrist. "Why are you helping me?" "Because you looked like you didn't want a bullet in your face," she hissed. "Was I wrong?" Before he could answer, a blur of motion flashed across the street. Selena ducked instinctively, dragging him down with her. A bullet screamed past where his skull had been. His hand tightened on her arm. "That's 3 positions." "No kidding." She scanned the alley behind them, too open to run, too exposed to hide. "We need cover." "We're pinned," he said, tone maddeningly calm. "Then unpin yourself," she shot back. Another bullet shattered a street lamp, spraying sparks. People screamed from inside the café. Someone cried for help. Tires screeched somewhere in the distance. Selena's pulse hammered. She wasn't military, wasn't law enforcement, wasn't anything but a waitress who knew when danger was staring her in the face. But the man beside her, he held himself like he'd lived in this kind of chaos his entire life. He glanced at her. "Can you run? Can you?" she countered. His lips twitched like he almost laughed. "Follow me." "Why would I?" He lunged, grabbing her by the waist and yanking her with him as he sprinted toward the overturned patio table. Bullets peppered the ground behind them like metal rain. "Down!" he barked. They crashed behind the table as rounds punched through the wood. Selena covered her head. "They're really trying to kill you." "Us," he corrected. "Don't say that." He peered through a bullet hole. 2 shooters rooftop. 1 ground level. Possibly more. "You count fast," she muttered. "It's my job." "Well, your job sucks." He didn't disagree. Instead, he pointed. "See that alley across the street? Black sedan, engine running." Selena squinted. "You have people?" "No." She blinked. "So whose car is that?" "I don't know. But whoever it is, they're here for us." "Fantastic." Another barrage hit the table. With splintered. Selena flinched as a shard grazed her cheek. The man reached out, wiped the blood with his thumb before she could react. "Stay close," he said. "Trust me. I'm not going sightseeing." He waited for a pause in gunfire, barely half a second, then pushed the table forward like a makeshift shield. "Go!" She stumbled after him, ducking low. A shooter leaned over the café's balcony railing. "Left!" Selena screamed. He pivoted, grabbed her shoulders, and twisted them both just as the gunman opened fire. The rounds chewed the ground where they'd been standing. He shoved her into the narrow space between 2 dumpsters. "Stay behind me." Not arguing. Another figure rounded the corner, a man in black tactical gear, face covered, rifle raised. "Down!" Selena yelled. The stranger fired, but the Korean man slammed his shoulder into him, twisting the rifle upward. The shot fired into the sky. They grappled, slamming into the wall. Selena grabbed a trash lid and smacked the attacker in the head. He stumbled. The Korean man finished the job with a brutal elbow strike that dropped the guy cold. He stared at her. "You hit him with a trash can lid." It was nearby. A rapid series of gunshots hammered the dumpster. "Move!" he shouted, dragging her along the wall. They burst out onto the street again, both sprinting, both gasping. "Who are these people?" Selena demanded. "Not sure yet." "Yet?" He didn't answer. Behind them, the ground-level shooter emerged onto the street, raising his weapon. "Faster!" Selena screamed. "I'm trying," he barked back. surprisingly irritated for someone who moved like a panther with a bullet scheduled to dodge. A car screeched around the corner. Black-tinted windows, engine roaring. "Oh God, that's them," she said. He grabbed her wrist. "Selena, how do you know my?" Before she could finish, the car door flew open and a man shouted in Korean. The Korean man cursed and shoved her inside. "Get in." "No, I'm not." Bullets slammed into the car's frame. She dove without thinking. The Korean man slid in beside her, slamming the door. "Drive." The driver floored it. The car fishtailed, tires burning rubber, then rocketed forward. Gunshots hammered the trunk. Selena gripped the seat. "Is this your car?" "No." "Your people?" "No." "Then who?" He looked at her, eyes sharp, voice low. "They weren't trying to kill me, Selena." He swallowed, jaw tight. "They were trying to kill you." Selena froze. "What?" The car sped into the night, and the city swallowed them whole. 1 hour earlier, Selena Washington wiped a streak of foam from the café counter and tried not to think about how badly she needed rent money. Tips had been garbage all morning, and the lunch crowd wasn't promising either. She sighed, pushed through the back door, and carried a fresh tray of water glasses outside to the patio. The sun was warm but not too hot. Traffic rolled lazily down Wilshire. A breeze whispered through the umbrellas. Everything looked normal until it didn't, because the man who walked in, alone, dressed in charcoal gray, hands in pockets, eyes hidden behind dark glasses, didn't belong to this kind of afternoon. Selena's steps slowed. Customers came in all types, but this one moved wrong. Too steady, too aware, like someone was waiting for him to make a mistake. He sat at table 8 and didn't touch the menu. Selena approached with her usual customer smile. "Welcome. Water for now." The man nodded. "That's fine." His voice was quiet, smooth, almost too calm. She poured the water and noticed the way his hands rested on the table, relaxed but positioned like they were waiting for something. His fingers had scars, thin, pale lines, old ones. She wasn't sure why she noticed them, but she did. "You new around here?" she asked lightly. He didn't answer right away. He seemed to be listening, not to her, to the street, to the air. "No," he said finally, "just passing by." She waited for him to elaborate. He didn't, so she walked away. Her coworker, Nina, leaned close. "Girl, table 8? He looks like he kills people for a living, right?" Selena whispered. "He gives me assassin energy." Nina grinned. "Okay, but also he's fine." "Nope," Selena said quickly. "Too much mystery, too much danger. My life is boring and I'd like to keep it." A sharp ringtone cut her off. Selena glanced back at table 8. The man picked up his phone, posture tightening slightly. Not enough for most people to notice. Enough for her. She watched him scan the street. His eyes paused on a white van parked across the road. Too tinted, too still. Not a delivery truck. Her grandmother's voice drifted through her mind like a whisper. "When your spirit flinches at nothing, baby girl, that ain't nothing." Selena swallowed. Something was tugging at her nerves. She pushed it aside, grabbed the coffee pot, and made a slow sweep around the patio. A man in a hoodie leaned against a lamppost. Too warm for a hoodie. He held his phone sideways, not watching it, just holding it. She refilled a businessman's cup while her eyes tracked movement behind the cafe windows. A man in a cap angled himself toward table 8. "Selena," Nina called. "You good?" Selena said, even though her pulse was climbing. "Totally fine." She wasn't. Something felt wrong, like a storm without thunder. She stepped toward table 8 again. "Do you need?" "Don't look," he murmured without glancing up. "But someone across the street is watching me." Selena blinked. Okay?" He finally looked at her. Really looked. And even behind the sunglasses, she felt those eyes hit her like a warning flare. "If anything happens," he said quietly, "walk away from me. Excuse me? Don't get involved. It won't end well." "Oh, wow," she said, folding her arms. Your customer service is incredible. He almost smiled. Almost. I'm trying to keep you alive. The words shot straight down her spine. Selena opened her mouth to ask him what the hell he meant, but a customer shouted from the entrance, "Hey, can we get some help here?" She sighed, muttered "Be right back," and jogged toward the new table of students. When she returned 3 minutes later, the man at table 8 wasn't sitting. He was standing beside his chair, body angled away from her, phone pressed to his ear, muscles locked tight. "Is it confirmed?" he said quietly. "When? And how many?" She froze. His tone wasn't normal customer tone. It wasn't even annoyed guy tone. It was soldier tone. Business of death tone. A sudden chill rolled through her. Selena turned slowly toward the street and saw it. A flicker of red light. Tiny. Precise. Dancing across the restaurant's glass window. Her heartbeat stopped. No. No, no, no. Laser sight. Her eyes jerked back to the man. The red dot slid across his chest. She didn't think. Didn't hesitate. She dropped the coffee pot. The crash shattered the patio's quiet. "Down!" she screamed, sprinting toward him. He spun toward her with shock, but she didn't give him time to react. She slammed into him with everything she had. The shot fired. Glass exploded behind them. People screamed. They hit the ground together, bodies tangled. His arm bracing her head. Her breath knocked from her lungs. He stared at her, stunned. "You!" "Not now," she choked. "Get up." More shots erupted. Chaos swallowed the patio. He grabbed her hand. "Run." "I am running." "Faster." "You faster." They raced toward the alley, bullets tearing through chairs and umbrellas. "Why are they shooting at you?" she yelled. "I don't know." "Why are they shooting at me?" He didn't answer. He dragged her harder, eyes assessing angles she didn't even know shooters used. They reached the dumpster, pressed against it, both breathless. Only then did she realize he wasn't just calm under fire. He was accustomed to it. She looked at him, chest heaving. "Who are you?" He swallowed, pulse steady despite the chaos. "Someone you shouldn't be near." Too late for that. He didn't deny it. Gunfire rang out again. The snipers repositioned. The street shifted from danger to death trap. Selena grabbed his arm. "We need to go. Now." His jaw tightened. "Stay behind me." "What?" And just like that, they were moving again. Running for their lives. Destined for the moment she would understand everything. But that moment hadn't come yet. Not until the bullets caught up. Not until the alley turned into hell. And not until she learned the truth that would change everything. The man stepped fully into the alley, umbrella in hand, dry as if the rain itself feared him. His suit was immaculate. His smile was wrong. Too polite, too amused, too familiar. Daewon's entire body went rigid. Malia noticed it instantly. That tiny shift in posture. The micro-freeze. The way his fingers curled slightly, as if resisting the urge to reach for a weapon he wasn't carrying. "You?" Daewon said, voice low, almost poisonous. "Hello, Hyung." The man replied smoothly. Hyung. Malia didn't know Korean, but she knew enough to understand that meant older brother. Or older something. "Interesting evening you're having," the man continued, glancing at the injured attackers on the ground. "Messy. Desperate. Very unlike you." Daewon's jaw clenched so tight she saw the muscle jump. "What do you want, Jin Hwan?" Jin Hwan. So that was his name. Jin Hwan ignored the question, stepping closer with casual elegance. The rain didn't dare touch him. His shoes stayed spotless even in the puddles. His eyes drifted to Malia, and lingered. A slow smile crept across his face. The kind of smile men wore right before doing something unforgivable. "And who is this?" he asked. "Don't," Daewon warned quietly. His voice wasn't raised. It wasn't aggressive. But Jin Hwan paused anyway, because something in Daewon's tone carried the weight of a threat. Jin Hwan lifted both hands theatrically. "Relax. I'm only admiring the brave civilian. She looks like she's had a long night." Malia glared at him. "And you look like a creep." Daewon's eyes widened a fraction. Jinwon's smile widened a lot. "Oh," he murmured, delighted. "She talks back." "Yeah," Malia said, adjusting the baby. "And I also walk away when men get weird. So if you're done being ominous." Jinhwan tilted his head. "She's American." "Thank you for the observation," Malia replied. "I'll send you a medal." The corner of Daewon's mouth twitched. Barely, as if he wanted to smile but refused. Jinwon's gaze narrowed with interest. "How rare. Someone who speaks to my dear brother like he's a normal man." Malia snorted. "Trust me, nobody normal moves like he does." Daewon cut in sharply. "Jinhwan, why are you here?" Jinhwan finally turned serious, or, well, something closer to serious. His eyes shifted to the baby nestled against Malia's shoulder. "Little Sua," he said softly. The baby whimpered, sensing the tension. Malia instinctively took a step back. Daewon's hand shot out, lightly gripping her arm. Protective, cautionary. "Stay behind me," he murmured. Jinhwan raised an eyebrow. "Protecting her? How interesting." "Leave them out of this," Daewon growled. Jinhwan sighed. "Always noble, aren't you? Even now." He glanced at the unconscious men on the ground. "You handled my mess. Consider that your good deed for the weak." "Your mess," Daewon repeated, voice like ice. "You sent them?" Jinhwan gave a lazy shrug. "Well, I didn't send them cupcakes." Malia's eyes widened. "Hold on. You tried to kill a baby?" Jinhwan pressed a hand to his chest in mock offense. "Kill? No. Scare? Yes. Remove leverage. Maybe." Daewon moved faster than Malia could process. Shoving her gently back, stepping between her and his brother, voice deadly calm. "If you come near my son again," Daewon said, "I will end you." Jinhwan didn't flinch. "You keep talking as if you still have the right to make threats." Daewon's breathing grew harsher, more controlled, more dangerous. And suddenly Malia realized this wasn't a family disagreement. This was something far worse. "Your son," Jinhwan repeated, tasting the word. "A child born into a collapsing empire. A child whose existence will start a war. And look at you, protecting a waitress and hiding in alleys. How far the mighty have fallen." Malia felt Daewon tense beside her. She didn't know him well, but something in her recognized pain when she saw it. "Leave," Daewon said quietly. "Or what?" Jinhwan asked, smirking. Daewon's expression didn't change. "Or I'll forget you wherever my blood." For the first time, Jinwon's smile dimmed. Not into sadness, into something darker. "You already did," he replied. He snapped his fingers. A black car pulled up at the end of the alley. Two men climbed out and joined him. "Take care of your little rescue mission," Jinhwan said, tipping his umbrella. "But Daewon." He paused, eyes flicking back to the baby. "War is coming. And this time, I won't protect you." He walked away, disappearing into the car. The door slammed, the engine roared, and then he was gone. The moment the sound faded, Daewon sagged. Not visibly, not dramatically, but enough for Malia to see it. He turned to her. "Malia," he said, voice low. "We have to leave. Now." She hesitated. "Where?" "Somewhere they can't follow." "And if I say no?" He stepped closer, within breathing distance. Eyes dark, intense, and unyielding. "I'm not asking." The baby whimpered again. Malia met Daewon's gaze, and she realized, whatever she'd stumbled into, it was bigger than bullets in an alley. The rain didn't let up. It hammered the streets like it was trying to drown the entire city, turning the pavement slick and dangerous. Daewon moved with sharp purpose, scanning every shadow, every corner, every passing car as they left the alley. Malia followed, baby clutched against her chest, trying not to slip. The nanny hurried close behind them, trembling so hard her teeth chattered. "You're bleeding," Malia said, staring at the gash on Daewon's arm. "You need stitches." "I'll live," he muttered. "Not with that attitude," she shot back. He glanced at her, just a flicker of something in his eyes. Confusion. Maybe annoyance. Maybe something softer. "We don't have time," he said. "They won't stop." Jean Juan made sure of it. "Okay," Malia said, adjusting the baby as he squirmed. "So we're running from your homicidal brother. Great. Anything else I should know?" "Secret wife. Dragon in the basement." "Dragon," Day One repeated, blinking. "It's a joke," she said, breathless. "Stay with me." "I am staying with you," he said seriously. "No," Malia corrected. "I meant keep up, because that arm of yours looks like it's seconds from falling off." His lips twitched. Not quite a smile, but not the stone-cold mask either. "You're very talkative. And you're very stab wound why," she replied. The tension between them crackled strangely. Danger and humor mixing in ways that shouldn't have worked but somehow did. They reached a side street where a sleek, black SUV was parked half-hidden under a broken streetlight. The nanny sighed with relief. The car. Thank God. Day One unlocked it with a click. "Get in." Malia hesitated. "Hold up. I'm not climbing into a mystery vehicle with two strangers. One who fights like Batman and the other who looks 5 seconds from fainting." "You'd rather stay out here?" Day One asked calmly. Thunder cracked overhead as if answering for her. "Point taken," she mumbled, climbing in. The moment the door shut, the world muffled. Rain softened, wind died, and the baby whined softly against her shoulder. Malia exhaled, finally letting herself breathe. Day One slid into the front seat beside the nanny. Blood smeared the steering wheel as he gripped it. Malia leaned forward. "You shouldn't be driving." "I'm fine." "You're absolutely not fine." He turned his head, meeting her stare in the rearview mirror. His eyes were dark, unreadable, but burning with something buried deep. "My son is in your arms," he said quietly. "I don't have the luxury of being injured." Malia's breath caught. Right. This wasn't about pride. This was about fear. Real fear. Not for himself. For the baby. Before she could say anything, he started the engine. The nanny whispered, "Day One? Where will we go?" "Your brother." "I know what my brother wants," he said, voice tight. "And he'll burn half the city to get it. He thinks the baby is leverage." Malia frowned. Leverage for what? Day One drove through the empty streets, eyes sharp, shoulders rigid. "For power," he said. "For control. For the position he thinks I stole from him." "Did you?" Malia asked. His jaw clenched. "It's not that simple." "It never is," she muttered. The SUV glided through intersections with practiced confidence. Day One drove like he'd memorized every street, every alley, every way out of the city. Rain streaked the windows, distorting the neon signs outside. Malia rocked the baby gently. "You named him Sua?" "Sujin," Day One corrected softly. His mother called him Sua. Malia froze. "And where is she?" Silence. The kind of silence that said everything. "I'm sorry," Malia murmured. Day One didn't respond, but his fingers tightened on the wheel. They drove for several minutes until Day One suddenly cursed under his breath. He slammed a hand against the dashboard. "What now?" Malia asked. "Someone's following us." Her heart dropped. "How do you know?" He flicked the rearview mirror. Black sedan. No lights. 2 car lengths behind. Malia turned. And sure enough, 2 blurry headlights glowed faintly through the rain, shadowing every move they made. "Great," she said. "Fantastic. Amazing. Just what I wanted tonight. More gunmen." "Not gunmen," Day One murmured. "Worse." "How is that worse?" "They don't miss." The baby whimpered. Malia pulled him closer. "Day One. Hold him tight." The nanny was shaking uncontrollably now. "Is it them, Day One? Is it the Han faction?" "Yes," Day One said darkly. "Jinowin's allies." Malia inhaled sharply. "All right, so what do we do?" Daywin's expression hardened. "We lose them." He spun the wheel sharply. The SUV drifted into a narrow side road, bouncing over potholes. The tires screeched as he accelerated, weaving through the labyrinth of old brick buildings. The sedan followed. "They're gaining," Malia warned. "They won't." "How do you know?" Daewon didn't look back. He didn't need to. "Because," he murmured, "they don't know this city like I do." He turned into a tight alley, jammed the car through, clipped a garbage can, and burst out onto an abandoned street behind a row of markets. The sedan missed the turn entirely, skidding past the alley. Daewon kept driving until they reached a small industrial district. He finally slowed, pulling into an underground loading dock. The moment the engine shut off, Daewon exhaled shakily, the first sign he was human. Malia's voice softened. "Your arm is bleeding a lot." He ignored the pain. "We're safe for now, but not for long." "Daewon," the nanny whispered. "Where are we?" "A place only one person in my family knows about," he replied. Then he looked at Malia. "And he's trying to kill us." Malia tightened her hold on the baby. "So what now?" Daewon leaned toward her, eyes dark and unreadable. "Now," he said, "I protect you." There was something terrifying in the way he said it. Not because he meant her harm, but because he meant it too much. Before she could respond, a piercing alarm blared from deeper inside the building. Someone else was there, and they were already coming. The alarm shrieked through the underground dock, sharp, metallic, echoing off the concrete walls like a warning meant for ghosts. Malia's entire body went rigid. The baby pressed his tiny face into her shoulder, whimpering at the sudden noise. Daewon reacted instantly. He grabbed Malia's wrist, firm but not painful, and pulled her behind a stack of storage crates. The nanny stumbled after them, sweating, breath shaky. "Is that your alarm?" Malia whispered. "Or someone else's?" "Mine," Daewon said, scanning the shadows. "Which means someone crossed a sensor they weren't supposed to." "Well, that's comforting," she muttered. He didn't smile, not even a fraction. Heavy footsteps echoed down a metal staircase on the opposite side of the room. Slow, steady, too controlled to belong to a random thug. Daewon's hand slid beneath his coat, searching for a weapon that wasn't there. Malia noticed the flicker of frustration that crossed his face. "You're unarmed?" she hissed. "My brother's men removed my weapons before the ambush," he said. "I didn't have time to retrieve more. So we're just gonna fight with your charming personality?" He flicked her a sideways glance. "It's sharper than it looks." She opened her mouth to retort, but the footsteps stopped. A silhouette appeared on the upper platform. Broad shoulders, long coat, umbrella still dripping. For a split second, Malia's heart stopped. But it wasn't Jin Huan. This man was bigger, scar down the jaw, one eye slightly clouded from an old injury. He scanned the storage floor with a face that looked carved out of granite. "Oh good," Malia whispered. "A walking jump scare." Daewon crouched lower, pulling her beside him. "Stay quiet." The man stepped forward, voice deep and chilling. "Daewon, I know you're here." Daewon exhaled through his nose. "Han Byung-ho," he muttered. "One of Jinwon's lieutenants." "Lieutenant," Malia choked. "He looks like he eats lieutenants for breakfast." "Accurate," Daewon said darkly. The baby stirred, letting out a soft, helpless cry before Malia could cover his tiny mouth. The sound echoed through the room. Han Byung-ho's head snapped toward their direction. His lips curled. "There you are." "Damn it," Malia whispered. Han moved fast for a man his size. Boots thudding down the stairs, long coat whipping behind him. Malia braced herself, gripping the baby, ready to run. But Daewon stepped out first. Into the open, deliberate, controlled, cold as winter steel. Han stopped halfway down the stairs, smirking. "Lost your touch, Daewona? Getting sloppy." Daewon didn't blink. "Leave. Now." Han laughed. It echoed through the dock, low and cruel. "You think you can order me? In your condition." He pointed to Daewon's injured arm. "Your brother was right," Han said. "You're not the man you used to be. Family betrayal does that." Malia felt something twist in her stomach. She didn't know what happened between Day One and his brother. But whatever it was deep and deadly. Han took one more step forward, and that's when the baby cried again. Loud, fearful. Han's eyes widened in recognition. Ah, the heir. Day One moved instantly. Not toward Han. Toward Malia. He grabbed her hand and pulled her into a sprint toward the opposite corridor. Run! I am running! She shouted, stumbling after him. Behind them, Han roared. Do not let them leave this building. Men materialized from side hallways, 2, 3, 5, rushing toward them. Malia's heart slammed against her ribs. Day One pushed her ahead, shielding her with his body even as fresh blood dripped down his sleeve. This way, he barked, shoving open a heavy maintenance door. They tumbled into a narrow hallway. The nanny barely made it inside before Day One slammed the door shut and wedged a metal pipe through the handles. The attackers immediately began pounding on the other side. Malia gasped for breath. Do you have a plan? Please tell me you have a plan. I'm creating one, he said. That means no. Day One shot her a glare. You talk too much in emergencies. I talk when I'm stressed. And I'm very stressed. A loud crack sounded, the door denting inward. Day One pulled Malia close. Too close. Close enough for her to feel his breath on her cheek. His hand steadying her waist with instinctive protectiveness. Listen to me, he said, voice low and urgent. If they get through, do not run down the main corridor. Take the ventilation ladder behind the crates. It leads to the upper platform. Then out the back exit. And you, Malia whispered. He didn't answer immediately. The door dented again, metal buckling. Day One, she breathed. He looked at her with something new in his eyes. Something painfully raw, barely controlled. I will buy you time. No, she snapped. No way. I'm not letting you play sacrificial action hero. It's the only choice. Not for me. Another boom. The pipe holding the door cracked. Day One grabbed her shoulders. Malia, listen. I won't let them take you. The way he said her name, heavy, protective, desperate, sent a shiver down her spine. Why? She whispered. His jaw clenched. His eyes softened for the smallest second. Because, he said quietly, you protected my son. Before she could react, the door burst open in a shower of sparks, and Han Byung-ho stepped through. Han Byung-ho filled the doorway like a nightmare carved out of stone, the bent metal screeching under his grip. His men poured in behind him, shadows with weapons, eyes cold and hungry. Day One shoved Malia and the nanny behind him so fast she barely caught her balance. His injured arm hung stiff at his side, but the rest of him, his stance, his eyes, his breathing, shifted into something colder, sharper, lethal. Day One, Han said, cracking his neck as if warming up for a workout. I'm giving you one final chance. Hand over the child. Day One stepped forward, blocking their line of sight. You won't touch him. Han chuckled. You think you can stop all of us? Like this? His gaze flicked to Daewon's bleeding arm, the dark stains spreading across the sleeve. Even if you were at your best, Han continued, you wouldn't walk out of here alive. But now, he tilted his head, mocking sympathy. You're already halfway dead. Daewon didn't move, didn't blink. What a shame, Han murmured. All that power, all that potential, wasted protecting a waitress. Malia felt her stomach twist. She should have been terrified, and she was, but fury clawed up her spine. Okay, she snapped, stepping forward, tightening her hold on the baby. First of all, I'm not a waitress. I have a name. Malia, Daewon warned. No, let me finish, she said sharply. Han raised an eyebrow, amused. How cute. She speaks. And second, Malia continued, why do you keep trying to kill an infant? What kind of villain starter pack is that? Do you kick puppies too? Steal Halloween candy from toddlers? Slam fridge doors on people's hands? Han blinked slowly. She's strange. Daewon exhaled. You have no idea. Malia glared. I'm processing fear through sarcasm. Leave me alone. The nanny made a strangled sound behind her, half sob, half exhausted agreement. Han waved his hand. Enough! His men surged forward, and Day One moved. He didn't fight like earlier. He didn't rush or punch or throw wild blows. This time, every move was controlled, minimal, brutally efficient. He sidestepped the first attacker, driving an elbow into the man's throat. Spun. Dropped another with a sweeping kick. But there were too many. Malia backed away, clutching the baby, heart slamming against her ribs. Every instinct screamed run, but she couldn't leave Day One. Not while he was bleeding, outnumbered, refusing to fall. Two men grabbed him. He slammed one into the wall, but the other dug a knee into his injured shoulder. Day One hissed, a rare crack in his stoic armor. Day One! Malia shouted. He didn't look her way. He couldn't. Han Byung-ho descended the last step, cracking his knuckles. You can't protect anyone. Not anymore. Then he lunged. Malia didn't think. She moved. She shoved the baby into the nanny's arms. Hold him. Malia! But she was already running, directly toward Han. What are you? Day One barked, but she ignored him, snatching a metal rod from the floor. Rusted, thin, barely a weapon, and swinging it as hard as she could. The metal cracked against Han's shoulder. He didn't fall. He didn't even flinch. He just stared at her. You, he said slowly, almost impressed. You hit me. She swallowed. I'll do it again. Han smiled. A slow, menacing curl of lips. Day One picked a spirited one. Shame. He raised his hand to strike her. Day One roared. It wasn't human, not exactly. Not just anger. Something primal ripped through his voice as he shoved off the men restraining him. He slammed one into the wall, broke the second's grip, and launched himself at Han. They collided hard. The sound cracked through the hallway like thunder. Day One fought brutal and unrestrained, fueled by something deeper than survival. Han met every blow with equal force. Two monsters locked in a storm of fists, elbows, and rage. Day One's movements were weakening, slowing, pain tearing through every strike. Malia watched with her heart in her throat, unable to breathe. Day One staggered. Han grabbed him by the throat, slamming him against the wall. You're done, Han growled. Day One's eyes flicked toward Malia. Not in a plea, not in fear, but in warning. Malia, he choked. Go. No, she whispered. Go. His voice cracked, raw, desperate. Take my son and... Han punched him in the ribs. Hard. Day One fell to one knee. Malia's breath broke. She took a step forward, and the nanny screamed. Malia! A shadow in the doorway. A gun raised, pointed directly at her chest. She froze. The man holding the gun stepped into the dim light. His face was young, too young. His hands trembled. His eyes darted between her, the baby, and Day One bleeding on the floor. Malia! Day One rasped, lifting his head. Don't move. Han smirked. Shoot her. The young man hesitated. Han's voice sharpened. Shoot her. The gun shook harder. Malia held the baby tighter, stepping slightly in front of the nanny. Don't do this, she whispered. Day One surged up again, pain exploding through him, but Han caught him by the collar and slammed him back down. Shoot her, Han repeated. Now. The young man squeezed his eyes shut. His finger tightened on the trigger. Then, a single gunshot exploded. But the bullet didn't hit Malia. It hit the man holding the gun. He collapsed instantly. Malia gasped. Han whipped around. Day One froze. And from the shadowed doorway at the far end of the corridor, a calm voice said, About time I found you, little brother. Jin Huan lowered his smoking gun and smiled. The penthouse was quiet after the body was dragged away. Too quiet. Selena sat on the floor with her back against the cool glass of the balcony window. Knees pulled up, heartbeat refusing to calm. The air still tasted like smoke and fear. Park stood a few feet away, head bowed slightly, hands braced on the back of a chair. He hadn't spoken since ordering June to run a search for internal leaks. He hadn't even looked at her. Selena swallowed. You okay? He didn't move. She tried again, softer. Park. He lifted his head slowly. His eyes were unreadable shadows. Exhaustion, rage, guilt, and something else she recognized even from across the room. Fear. Not for himself. For her. She breathed out carefully. You killed him. Yes. You didn't hesitate. No. She waited, but he didn't elaborate. So she pushed. Why? Park finally straightened, walking to her with slow, controlled steps. He lowered himself across from her, close enough to touch but not touching. He wasn't going to talk, Park said quietly. Men trained like him don't break. They bite down on suicide capsules before they ever betray their employer. Selena shivered. Was he going to kill me? Yes. Because of the necklace. Because of what it unlocks. She hugged her knees tighter. So this is my life now? Every 5 minutes someone tries to kidnap me or shoot me. No, he said firmly. Not while I'm breathing. Her gaze lifted to him, slow, hesitant, but drawn. He wasn't looking at her pendant. He was looking at her face, as if memorizing every reaction. Why do you care so much? She whispered. You barely know me. Park's jaw flexed. I know enough. That's not an answer. It's the one I have. Selena studied him. She'd seen him fight like a storm, give orders like a commander, kill like breathing didn't require conscience. But this Park, the one sitting in front of her now, felt different, human even. You're angry, she said softly. At myself, he admitted. Why? Because I should have anticipated this. I should have known the traitor would act early. I should have had my team guarding every door. He shook his head, jaw tightening. I shouldn't have left you unprotected, even for a second. Selena blinked. It wasn't guilt she heard in his voice. It was something fiercer, protective, possessive. You didn't leave me, she murmured. You were there. Not fast enough. You saved my life. His eyes darkened. You saved mine first. Their words hung in the air, suspended between them like gravity-shifting moments in a movie. Selena didn't dare move, didn't dare breathe wrong. Park shifted slightly closer, just an inch, but she felt it. You weren't supposed to be part of this, he said quietly. And now, you are the center of it. I didn't ask for that. I know. I just wanted to work, pay rent, live my life, not dodge bullets. I know. And now I'm here, she whispered. In your penthouse, wrapped up in your war. Park's gaze softened in a way that made her chest twist. You're not wrapped up in my war. We're wrapped up in one war. She blinked. We. He hesitated. Not long, but long enough for her to see the conflict behind his eyes. Yes, he said. We. A soft breath escaped her. That sounds like a dangerous word. It is. And you're still using it? Park leaned in, his voice barely above a whisper. I'm not letting anyone take you from this world. Not while you're under my protection. Her pulse fluttered. Why? He didn't look away. You know why. The room stilled. Her lips parted. She didn't know what answer she expected, but hearing it, feeling it ripple between them, made her chest tighten too sharply. She looked down at her hands to break the intensity. I'm scared. I know. I don't want to die. You won't. You can't promise that. I can, Park said. And I am. Her throat tightened. You sound very sure of yourself. I am. His voice dipped lower. When it comes to you. Her heart stumbled over itself. Park. He reached out and gently touched her wrist. Lightly, checking if she'd pull away. She didn't. His thumb brushed her skin, slow, grounding. Selena, you didn't just save me at that café. You changed something. In what way? She whispered. In every way that matters. She exhaled shakily. Her eyes lifted to his. Neither moved. The moment stretched, soft, heavy, electric. Then June barged back in, destroying it. Boss? Sorry. He froze mid-step, eyes bouncing between them. Am I interrupting something? Selena jerked her hand away instinctively. Park's expression didn't change, but a flicker of annoyance crossed his eyes. June coughed. So, updates. Park stood, tension snapping back into him. Report. June tapped his tablet. We traced the intruder's finances. They were getting paid through an offshore account linked to... He hesitated. Linked to who? Park demanded. June looked at Selena, then back at Park. The Choi family, he said. And... someone with your clearance codes. Selena stiffened. Park's jaw clenched. His voice turned lethal. A traitor with access to my codes? June nodded grimly. Meaning they're close. Meaning they know every move you make. Park turned toward Selena, expression tightening. We don't have time. For what? Selena whispered. He extended his hand. To disappear, he said. Tonight. Her breath hitched. Disappear? As in go where? A safe house, Park said. One no traitor can compromise. Selena swallowed hard. And I don't get a choice, do I? No, Park said softly. Because if you stay, you die. The room fell silent. Selena stared at his outstretched hand. And slowly, hesitantly, she placed her hand in his. The safe house wasn't a house at all. It was a bunker disguised as an unfinished luxury condo. Bare concrete walls, hidden armory, deadbolt systems that hissed when engaged. Selena had barely stepped inside before Park started setting perimeter traps with June, both of them working in terse silence. Selena wandered toward the narrow window slit, staring at the sliver of night outside. She couldn't see the city, only darkness. Park joined her after a moment, voice low. This place holds until morning. After that, we move again. How many more times will we have to run? She asked. As many as needed. That's not comforting. It wasn't meant to be. She looked at him. He looked tired. Not physically. Soul tired. Waited. But he still carried himself like a man ready to take on the world if it touched her wrong. June called from the other room. Boss. Someone's pinging one of our hidden towers. Park stiffened. Which tower? The Midtown relay. That shouldn't be possible, Park murmured. Selena frowned. What's the Midtown relay? June answered. One of Park's off-grid communication hubs. It's invisible unless someone knows the exact frequency. Park's eyes narrowed. Only 3 people have that frequency. 3? Selena asked. Park nodded. Me, June, and... A loud beep cut him off. The safe house lights flickered. The security system hummed, then powered down. All of it. Completely. June cursed. They found us. Selena froze. How? How did they? Park didn't hesitate. He grabbed Selena by the arm, pulling her behind him as the emergency lights clicked on, flooding the bunker with eerie red. June. On the entry. June sprinted to the hallway, weapon drawn. Boss, this isn't random. Someone fed them coordinates. Selena's stomach twisted. You said only 3 people knew. I know, Park said, voice hard. The ground reverberated with a dull thud. Then another. Someone was breaching the outer door. June shouted, Explosives! Park pushed Selena toward a steel column. Get behind cover. Now. What about you? He didn't answer. He positioned himself between her and the door, the same door now shuddering under repeated impacts. Boom, boom, boom. The final explosion tore through the corridor, steel bending inward like foil. Smoke rushed into the bunker. June fired the moment silhouettes appeared in the smoke. Gunfire erupted on both sides. Selena covered her ears and ducked, but her eyes stayed on Park, because he didn't hide, didn't flinch, didn't blink. He moved like a specter. 2 attackers entered. Park took them both. One with a disarm so fast Selena couldn't follow. The second with a throat strike that dropped the man instantly. Selena, he called. Stay low. I'm trying. Another wave flooded the bunker. These men were different. Faster, heavier, organized. Choi family elites. June shouted over the barrage of noise. Boss! I can't hold them. You don't have to, Park said. Fall back. June moved to retreat when a bullet tore into his shoulder. He stumbled. Another shot shattered the concrete beside him. Selina screamed, "June!" Park darted forward, grabbed June by the back of his vest, and pulled him behind cover, shielding him with his own body. Selina's heart nearly stopped. He was protecting them both, alone, against 8 armed men. "Park!" she cried. "You'll get killed." "I won't," he gritted out, firing twice more. But she could see it, he knew the math. He couldn't hold them back for long. Another barrage. Another explosion of concrete. June hissed, attempting to raise his gun with shaking hands. "Boss, there's too many." Park loaded another magazine. "Then we end it fast." One attacker charged with a blade. Park pivoted, dodged, slammed him into a wall, then turned just in time to block a second attacker coming from behind. But the third caught him off guard, slamming into his ribs with brutal force. Park gasped. "Park!" Selina cried, scrambling out from behind the column. "Stay back!" he roared. She froze mid-step. The attacker twisted Park's arm behind him, forcing him down. Park fought, but the man rammed a knee into his spine, pinning him. Selina felt her world crack. Another attacker approached Park with a gun. June tried to raise his weapon again but collapsed, breathless. "Stop!" Selina yelled. "Stop, please!" The gunman didn't stop. Park struggled, brutal, desperate, but he was held down, body weakening. The gunman aimed at his head. Selina's blood turned to ice. She didn't think, didn't breathe, didn't fear. She moved. She grabbed the only thing near her, an iron rod that had fallen loose when the door exploded, and ran toward Park. "Selina!" he choked out through clenched teeth. "No!" She didn't listen. She swung the rod with all her strength, striking the gunman's wrist. The shot fired wildly into the ceiling. She swung again, hitting his jaw. He collapsed. Another attacker lunged for her. Park surged forward with a roar, breaking free long enough to grab Selina and pull her behind him. "Don't touch her!" he snarled, voice raw, feral. Gunfire filled the bunker as Park used his body to shield her entirely. And then, it stopped. Abruptly, the last attacker froze mid-aim, staring at something behind Park. Then he lowered his weapon slightly, whispering a name. Not Park's. Selina's. Her full name. Park's breath caught. "How do you know?" The attacker smirked. "Because she belongs to us." Selina's mind spun. "What? No, I don't know you." The man chuckled darkly. "You will. Soon. The key doesn't lie." Park fired instantly. The man dropped dead. Silence. Smoke curled upward. Park turned to Selina, hands trembling. Not from fear, but from fury that someone had spoken her name like a possession. He cupped her face, checking her for injuries. "Are you hurt?" "No," she breathed, shaking. "Are you?" "I'll live." He leaned his forehead to hers for just a second, just long enough for her to feel the weight of what almost happened. Then he stepped back, shielding her again. "June," Park called. "We're moving." June groaned. "Boss, where the hell are we going?" Park's eyes hardened with a coldness Selina had never seen before. "To the one place the choice won't dare follow." "Where is that?" Selina whispered. Park looked at her, voice dark. "Home." Park's home wasn't a mansion or a penthouse or anything resembling the lavish world she imagined Mafia heirs lived in. It was a traditional Korean compound hidden on the outskirts of the city, built behind stone walls and layered forestry that muffled the sound of the world like a cocoon. A private road wound through the trees until the car rolled to a stop in front of a wooden gate carved with ancient patterns. June, pale and sweating from blood loss, leaned his head back as Park called ahead in rapid Korean. The gate opened, and a world Selina wasn't ready for revealed itself. Paper lanterns lined a wooden walkway. Gravel crunched beneath their shoes. A koi pond reflected the moonlight. Everything was serene. Unlike the violence they'd endured, unlike the fear still crawling through Selina's bones. Park led her inside with a hand gently pressed to the small of her back. Not forceful, not claiming, protective. A middle-aged woman in a simple hanbok stepped forward. She bowed lightly. Yoon Mina. Park's expression softened for the first time in hours. Halmiani. Grandmother. Selena blinked. She had a grandmother too once. The thought twisted something deep inside her. Park spoke briefly in Korean. His grandmother's gaze shifted to Selena, warm and assessing. Without a word, she took Selena's hand and guided her deeper into the house. Selena glanced back. Park nodded. Follow. The older woman brought her into a quiet sitting room lit only by a lantern. She gestured for Selena to sit, then disappeared briefly, returning with a warm cloth. Selena lifted her hands quickly. Oh no, I'm okay. I don't. The woman pressed the cloth to a cut on Selena's cheek with such gentle firmness that Selena couldn't argue with it. She likes you, Park said from the doorway. Selena jumped. I didn't hear you come in. You were distracted. His gaze flicked to the cloth, then to her face. She rarely tends to strangers. Is she safe to trust? Yes. Unlike your men. Park's jaw tightened. Yes. Selena nodded slowly. So this is where we hide. This is where we breathe, he corrected softly. For tonight. June stumbled in behind him, supported by one of Park's loyal guards. Boss medics are setting up in the West Wing. Go, Park instructed. Get stitched. June shot Selena a thumbs up as he was guided away. Still alive, thanks to the lady with the iron stick. Selena managed a weak smile. Park waited until June was out of sight before stepping further inside, closing the sliding door behind him. Then they were alone. For the first time since the café. Selena swallowed. So what now? Park leaned against a wooden pillar, exhaustion finally seeping through his polished armor. Now we regroup, track the traitor, and plan how to remove him. How many suspects? Too many. She inhaled slowly. I'm sorry. He blinked. For what? For being the reason you're dealing with all this. For being a problem. You are not a problem, he said instantly. The men who want you dead. That's the problem. And the traitor. Yes. And the Choi family. Yes. And the Choi assassin who knew my name. Park's eyes darkened. He won't be speaking again. Selena shuddered. The death didn't scare her as much as the emptiness in Park's voice when he said it. He didn't enjoy killing, but he accepted it as part of his world the way most people accept traffic. She looked down at the pendant in her hand. The weight of it felt heavier than metal. Park, if this necklace is really the key to the ledger, what happens when the crime families realize I'm the only person alive who knows where it is? Park walked toward her. Slow, controlled, angry only at the world, never at her. They already know. Her breath caught. So this isn't going to stop. Not until the traitor is found, he said. And not until we use the key to expose whoever orchestrated your grandmother's involvement. Selena looked sharply at him. Why do you talk like it's our key? Because it is. A soft tremor moved through her chest. You talk like we're connected. We are connected. How? Park stopped inches in front of her. His voice dropped lower. Fate, collision, timing, call it what you want. But the moment you dragged me out of that sniper line, something bound us. She swallowed hard. What if I don't want to be bound to a Mafia heir? Park's eyes softened. Not with disappointment, with understanding. You don't have to be. Her pulse eased until he added, but I am bound to you. That did something strange to her breath. Selena stepped back instinctively, bumping into the wall. Park didn't move closer. He just watched her, gentle, patient, dangerous in a way that didn't frighten her anymore. What happens when all this is over? She whispered. If we survive? Park asked. Yes. He exhaled. Then you walk away if you choose. And you? I don't walk away from things that matter. Her heartbeat stuttered. Park reached out, brushing a strand of her hair behind her ear. His touch lingered near her jaw, hovering, not claiming. You matter, he said softly. The words shocked her, shook her, anchored her. But before she could respond, The sliding door cracked open. J1, another guard, stepped inside hurriedly. "Boss," he said, bowing. "We have a problem." Park's jaw clenched. "What now?" J1 hesitated. A message came from the traitor. Selena stiffened. Park's voice sharpened. "What message?" J1 swallowed. "He said he knows where you are. And he's coming for the girl." Selena's blood turned to ice. Park stepped in front of her immediately, voice sinking into absolute, lethal calm. "Let him come." Selena touched his arm. "Park." He looked back at her. And for the first time since everything began, he didn't hide anything behind his eyes. Not fear. Not anger. Only devotion sharpened by danger. "Selena," he whispered, brushing her cheek with his knuckles. "You didn't just save my life." He leaned closer, breath warm against her skin. "You changed it."